Every night you lose consciousness, your brain builds an entire world from nothing, puts you inside it, makes you believe it's real, and then erases most of it before you can even write it down. We've been studying dreams for over 100 years. We've mapped the brain with machines that can detect a single neuron firing. We've run thousands of sleep studies on thousands of people. And the most honest answer science has right now is we don't know why you dream. Not really. That should bother you more than it does. Let's start with what actually happens. About 90 minutes after you fall asleep, something shifts. Your body goes almost completely still. Your muscles lose their tone. If someone looked at you from outside, you'd appear deeply unconscious. But inside your brain, the exact opposite is happening. Your neurons start firing at nearly the same rate they do when you're wide awake. Your visual cortex lights up even though your eyes are closed. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that processes emotion, becomes more active during this phase than at almost any point during the day. Your brain is not resting, it is running. This is REM sleep, rapid eye movement, and it's where almost all of your dreaming happens. Here's what makes REM strange. During this phase, your brainstem sends a signal down your spinal cord that temporarily paralyzes your voluntary muscles. Every night, your brain actively disables your body. The scientific explanation is that this stops you from physically acting out your dreams. But think about what that implies. Your brain considers what's happening during REM vivid enough, urgent enough, real enough, that without intervention, your body would move. It locks you down just to keep you still. Most people experience this paralysis as completely invisible, but sometimes the system glitches. You wake up before the paralysis lifts. Your mind is conscious. Your body won't move. And in the seconds before it releases, you can feel it. That's sleep paralysis. Cultures across the world, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, independently developed almost identical explanations for it. A demon sitting on your chest, a hag pressing you into the mattress, an old man crouching on your body in the dark. Every culture arrived at the same monster because every culture experienced the same thing and had no framework to explain it. That alone tells you something. Dreams have been shaping human experience for as long as humans have existed. The ancient Egyptians believed dreams were messages from the gods. They built temples specifically for dream incubation, places where people would sleep on sacred ground, hoping to receive divine guidance in their sleep. The Greeks did the same. Sick people would travel to the temples of Asclepius, the god of medicine, lie down on his sanctuary floor, and wait for a healing dream. In ancient Mesopotamia, trained dream interpreters held positions of political power. Kings made military decisions based on what they had dreamed the night before. For most of human history, the question was never, why do we dream? It was, what is the dream trying to tell us? That changed in 1899. Sigmund Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams and handed science its first serious theory. Dreams, Freud argued, were the royal road to the unconscious. They were wish fulfillment. Your waking mind, governed by social rules and moral restraints, suppressed your deepest desires. Sleep removed those restraints. Dreams were the hidden desires breaking through in disguise, wrapped in symbols your conscious mind couldn't recognize, but your unconscious understood perfectly. The cigar that wasn't just a cigar, the house that represented the self, the falling dream that meant something specific about your anxieties. For decades, Freud's framework dominated. Then World War I ended, and something happened that broke his theory completely. Soldiers came home from the trenches, and they kept dreaming about the trenches. Not once, not occasionally. Night after night, they returned. The shelling restarted. The mud, the bodies, the noise. Some men woke screaming. Some couldn't sleep at all. They were reliving the worst experiences of their lives with no apparent purpose, no disguise, no wish fulfillment. These were not desires breaking through. These were wounds. Freud had no answer for it. His own theory couldn't explain why the dreaming mind would voluntarily return somewhere that horrifying. He spent the last years of his life quietly revising his ideas, never fully solving the problem he'd helped create. Science moved on without him. By the 1950s, researchers had discovered REM sleep and proven that dreams weren't random spiritual static. They were a specific biological process. The brain was doing something deliberate. The question was what? In 1977, two Harvard psychiatrists named Alan Hobson and Robert McCarley published a theory that felt like a cold bucket of water over everything that came before. They called it the activation synthesis hypothesis. The brain during REM, they argued, was firing randomly, signals bubbling up from the brainstem with no narrative intention whatsoever. Dreams weren't messages. Dreams weren't wishes. Dreams were your cortex doing its best to stitch a story around random neural noise. The meaning you found in a dream wasn't placed there. It was invented by you after the fact because your brain can't tolerate a story without meaning. Freud had said dreams were the hidden truth. Hobson said dreams were neural static, your brain dressed up as a story, because that's what brains do. Both theories are still argued about today. Then came the memory consolidation hypothesis, and this one has the most evidence behind it. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist at UC Berkeley and author of Why We Sleep, has spent decades studying what REM does to memory. His research suggests that sleep, and specifically dreaming, is when your brain processes and consolidates what you experience during the day. During REM, your brain replays recent memories, strips away the emotional charge attached to them, and integrates them with older long-term memories. It's not storage, it's editing. Your brain is deciding what matters, what connects to what, and what can be safely let go. Walker has a phrase for it. He calls REM sleep overnight therapy, and the evidence supports it. People who are woken up repeatedly during REM and denied dreaming show measurable impairment in emotional regulation the next day. They're more reactive, more anxious, less able to read social situations accurately. The dreams weren't decorative. Losing them costs something real. There's also the threat simulation theory, developed by Finnish neuroscientist Antti Revonsuo. He argued that dreaming evolved specifically to rehearse threatening situations. The dream state is a flight simulator for danger. Your brain runs you through scenarios, being chased, falling, being attacked, losing someone, not to traumatize you, but to prepare you. Each nightmare is a rehearsal. By the time the real threat arrives, some part of your brain has already practiced surviving it. It's a compelling theory. It explains why nightmares are so common, why threat scenarios dominate our dreams far more than pleasant ones, why children in dangerous environments have more intense, threatening dreams than children in safe ones. Evolution doesn't waste energy. If dreaming is this consistent and this resource intensive, it probably exists for a reason. But here's the problem. None of these theories fully accounts for all of it. The memory theory doesn't explain why dreams are so strange, so nonlinear, so filled with people who don't exist and places that merge into each other. If the goal is memory consolidation, why does your brain wrap it in surrealism? The threat simulation theory doesn't explain pleasant dreams, creative dreams, or the fact that some of the most important scientific and artistic breakthroughs in history came directly from someone's sleep. The structure of the DNA double helix came to James Watson in a dream. The melody for Yesterday came to Paul McCartney in a dream. He woke up so convinced he'd heard it somewhere before that he spent weeks asking other musicians if they recognized it before accepting he'd written it in his sleep. The chemist Auguste Kekule discovered the ring structure of benzene after dreaming of a snake eating its own tail. Dmitri Mendeleev saw the complete arrangement of the periodic table in a dream and woke up to write it down. Your brain solved problems while you were unconscious that it couldn't solve while you were awake. That is not random neural noise. That is not a filing system running a routine backup. Something else is happening. And then there are the experiences that don't fit anywhere at all. Lucid dreaming, for example. The state where you become aware that you're dreaming while you're still inside the dream. Not a gradual realization, a sudden switch. One moment the dream is completely real. The next, you know exactly what it is. And in that moment, for some people, the dream becomes controllable. You can fly, change the environment, summon specific people, explore with full awareness. Researchers at MIT have found ways to communicate with lucid dreamers in real time, sending signals into the dream and receiving responses while the person remains asleep. We are beginning to have two-way conversations with the dreaming brain, and we still don't fully understand what that brain is doing or why. Here's what we know for certain. You will dream tonight. You will spend roughly 2 hours inside a world your mind creates. Some of it will feel more real than this. Some of it will reach into memories you forgot you had, a house you lived in, a voice you haven't heard in years, a street corner from a city you visited once and never thought about again. Some of it will solve a problem you gave up on yesterday, and tomorrow morning you will remember almost none of it. For 300,000 years, every human being who ever lived had this same experience every single night. They woke up in the dark between first and second sleep and lay there turning their dreams over in their minds while the world was still. They didn't have neuroscience, they didn't have sleep labs, but they understood something we're only beginning to prove, that whatever happens behind your closed eyes matters, that the sleeping mind is not absent. It is somewhere. We just don't know where yet. And maybe that's the most human thing about dreaming. We are the only species that wakes up and immediately tries to understand what just happened to us. Dogs twitch in their sleep. Rats have been shown to replay their day's maze routes during REM. But no other animal builds temples to their dreams, writes them in journals, founds entire schools of psychology trying to decode them. No other animal looks at what happens in its own unconscious mind and asks, what does it mean? That question has no clean answer yet. But the fact that you keep asking it every morning before you're even fully awake, before the dream has completely dissolved and left you with nothing but a feeling you can't quite name, maybe that's the point.